Good morning. It's 9:30 a.m. here in London, UK, and it's a great day. It's a great day. I feel pumped. I feel ready to smash the day. Ask me how it's going in 6 hours. Just kidding. Just kidding. We'll see how it goes. We'll take it 1 second at a time. So today's topic is coaching isn't advice, and the whole sentence, by the way, is in quotes. Coaching isn't advice. And what I mean by the whole sentence is in quotes is that my this episode is actually a response to an article that I saw a blogger write, which was titled "Coaching Isn't Advice." Now, this particular person talked about how she had a coach for 4 years, and she fired the coach because she believes that the coach had stopped listening and started advising. And it didn't sit well with me, this article, because I have different thoughts on it. I have different thoughts on it. So let's dive into them one by one. The first one is, in a way, I do believe that coaching is advice. Because if you think about it, I've had tennis coaches, I've had sports coaches, and part of the reason why I like them is, number one, they motivate you. Number two, they call you out when you're doing something wrong. Number three, if you're doing something wrong that maybe is not behavior related but is quite technique specific, they also advise you on what to do. If you're running and you're breathing through your nose in and out and you're not using your mouth at all to aid you in breathing, and they think it will be good for you, they'll tell you. If you're not really stretching out your hand enough when you're hitting that backhand serve in tennis, they'll tell you. They'll say, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? To me, that's advising. And it's a part of coaching. It's a core part of coaching. So I do not believe that, coaching isn't advice. It's just listening. Because you know what, I just feel that listening and advising are not mutually exclusive. They're not. I've had two mentors before who, I know I use the word mentor, but I kind of saw them as my coaches. When I was starting out my career in consulting, there was one that I liked, and there was one that, to be honest, I didn't like too much. And that's because the first one, where she saw fit, she listened closely, but where she saw fit, she did give me advice. She did say, here's what I think. You should think about it too. They'll still put the caveat of, it's just my opinion, but you should consider that too. And I really appreciated that because it was a different point of view. The other person, the man, most times I would just put things out there and I would talk and talk, and he would just nod and would be in a cafe and would eat, but he wouldn't say anything. I'd have to ask, like, mate, what do you think of this? What do you have anything for me? And he would say things like, oh, it's fine, I'm just happy to be a sounding board. And I remember the first time I heard this, I was just like, mate, that just sounds like you're wasting my time. I have enough people to tell this to if all I want is a sounding board. All I want is someone to look at me as I say stuff, but not even give any feedback in return. Because looking back, I can't actually see what I got from that relationship. Whereas the relationship with the other woman, there were moments that were like come to Jesus moments where she said stuff that I was like, oh my God, thank you for telling me that. So I would, when you say coaching isn't advice, that's not necessarily true. Like, in a way, coaching is just having guided conversations with someone. That's what it is. So it's not just pure advisory, because then that's consulting. I get you. Coaching is having guided conversations with someone, helping them get from point A to point B, helping them achieve their goal. But you can't tell me that somewhere in there was a bit of advice here and there. especially if your coach is someone who has subject matter expertise. Maybe the person's an expert in psychodynamic counseling, maybe the person's an expert in marketing or an expert in finance, an expert in personality disorders. It means that yes, they'll be guiding you in conversations, helping you ask yourself certain questions and map out where you need to focus your attention and efforts to. But sometimes their subject matter expertise will provide you with just a bit of guidance to nudge you in the right direction, and there's nothing wrong with that. So listening and advising are mutually exclusive. Number two, it just might be like if you work for this coach for 3 4 years, it just might be that you perceive they aren't listening. Because the thing is, if they've known you for 4 years, for example, and your actions and your words aren't congruent with one another, that's you say something but you do something else, and they keep on hammering something into you, you might think, oh, this person isn't listening to me. But the thing is, they actually might be listening to you, but what's happening is that they're seeing what you're not seeing. They're seeing that a lot of times what you say doesn't match what you do, and so they're addressing what you do. And so you might feel like they're not listening because what they're saying isn't matching what you're saying, but they're going past that and they're addressing what you're doing. So, like self-sabotaging habits, self-limiting behaviors, they might be addressing those, and you might not know because what you're telling them isn't what they're dwelling on. They might be dwelling on the fact on what you're doing, and you don't see that from your own point of view. It's kind of like the relationship with me and my mom, for example. My mom tells me everything. Like, when I mean everything, like all my flaws, my mom just like throws it out there. She lets me know 5 times a day. And I've become kind of blasé about it. So when she says stuff about me that ain't so good, I don't even give it weight. And when I say weight, I mean WEIGHT. So I don't even attach any importance to it because I'm just like, you're just being my mom. You're just being like mom. Okay, so I don't know who said this, but I think it was either Grant Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk. It's like a mom is just someone who's always 50% negative. So like she always says all my flaws, but nothing ever hits me. Nothing ever hits the heart. But if I hear that flaw from someone else, if someone tells me, "Oh, Akachi, I think you're this," it just lifts me up and smashes me into the ground and makes me sad for months. Now, why is that the case? Why is it that my mom has been saying this all my life and I've never cared, and then suddenly some total stranger or some person from work says that same thing and I'm just heartbroken? It's just because of that familiarity. You want to, it's like I don't know, the more you get familiar with someone, I don't know how to say this, but you start to care less about what they think of you. It's just like going on a first date with someone for the first time ever. Like you're super aware of how you are versus when you've been married to that person for 25 years. It's just a bit different. So maybe you should consider that it's not that this person isn't listening. It might be that they're addressing a part of you that you aren't seeing, or the part of you that you're not paying much attention to anymore. Also, you should ask yourself, should you still have a a coach or a mentor for 3 to 4 years? Now, I believe everyone should be working with a coach or mentor as much as possible. When I mean as much as possible, as far as you have goals that you are yet to meet, as far as there are certain significant development milestones in your life that you would like to meet, whether that's personal, career, professional, business, relationship wise, I think you should be working with a coach, and I don't care how long that takes. But you should also consider switching coach after a while. For example, my coaching program is one on one, but it's fixed, it's 1 year. Now we can work 2 years, we can work 3 years, but after every single program block, you have to reevaluate, is this coach still the person I need? So is this coach still suited to my goals, to my targets, to where I am? Because if you're working with a coach hopefully you should be growing as a person. And I'm not lying, you can't outgrow your coach. You can. So you just gotta adapt. You can outgrow your coach the same way you can outgrow your clothes. Even if you don't outgrow them, you might say, okay, when is it time for me to change? Just so I know that I'm being kept on my toes, just so that I know this hasn't slid into friendship. And, when do I change my coach, just so I know and receive a different perspective. The next point I'm going to address is a question actually to this person. And that's, are you sure you know how to deal with hard truths? Because it just might be that you're uncomfortable with what's being said. I have a friend at work, and a few weeks ago we hung out, and I was going to buy an expensive dinner. BTW, I live in London, so just doing like walking into Wasabi is an expensive dinner. So she looked at me and she was like, Akachi, this is why you don't save as much as you would like to. She said it in a much harsher way, in a much harsher tone. And I was so pissed. I was so upset. Like, that's so rude. You don't talk to people like that. People struggle with savings all the time. It was so upsetting, even though it was true. I was a bit upset for a long time, even though it was true. She said other things along those lines. Oh, this is why this is happening, because you're still making this type of decisions. And I was upset, but I also knew it was true. And so you have to make sure that you're not just upset with this coach because they are dealing you with hard truths, because they're keeping you honest. Because when you think about it, it's really weird being a coach. You have to deliver hard truths, but you also know that that's business. You also know that that's a client. You also know that you don't want to use the wrong tone or land on the wrong note and have this person say, I don't want to continue this coaching relationship. So you need to know that you can handle hard truths. Because if you can't, two things will happen. Your coach will know that you can't handle hard truths, and then they won't deliver those hard truths to you, which means they will see you doing stuff that isn't great, but they wouldn't dwell on it too much because they don't want to piss you off and chase you away. Or the second thing will happen, which is they will give you those hard truths, but you will get upset and be like, okay, you're fired. I don't like this. You're not on my level. I'm not benefiting from this. And at the end of the day, the case in point would just be that you didn't know how to handle hard truths and you got offended, even though it was the truth and even though that's what you needed to hear to move you forward. And finally, is that you may be right. You may be 100% right. The person just might not be listening to you. The person might just be spilling advice that is not relevant to you, isn't taken into isn't taking anything into, like, your own particular context, or isn't taking your context into anything rather, and it's just not working. We all have those kind of people in our life, whether they're acquaintances, whether they're friends, whether they're families, whether they're just strangers, people that will tell them, hey, here's what's going on, and the next thing that comes out of their mouth will be off point, like literally not applicable. It'll be so obvious that they're replying to another statement, like they're interpreting what we're saying in a completely different 180 degrees kind of way, and it's just not working. So if that's the case, just run the other direction, because it is true, like, we are human beings. We know when someone's not listening to us but just replying to us and telling us stuff. In that case, yes, you should end the relationship, but don't just end the relationship. Talk to them, let them know, because they might be totally unaware of it. Let them know what you think, hear what they have to say. If you see change, then you can continue the relationship, because no one's perfect, and in a lot of ways, we need feedback to grow, especially in our professional lives. And sometimes in a coaching relationship, if that person hasn't set up formal times for you as the coachee to review their own relationship as a coach, then they might just be operating thinking everything's fine. So I think if you feel like you're not being heard, you're not being listened to, you need to set up some actual time with your coach, relay your feedback, see how they take it, see how they implement it. If you see improvement, then keep going, because you're all humans. And if your coach can take an improvement in feedback and grow, then that's a good sign that you have a good coach, because you want to learn from someone who's ready to take in feedback. But if you're not seeing any positive changes, you're not still being heard, you're not still being listened to, then you got to show them the door. So hope you have a good day. Thanks for listening to the 5th episode of my podcast show, Akachi's Perspectives, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.